And so the thing that I often don't hear or get asked is, how do I start creating a support system for myself? So before you make any decisions on leaving corporate or leaving your present role, consider for yourself, are you already building a foundation for yourself? And this can take a little bit of time. Sometimes we do. We just want to leave and we want to start now. But the leaders who are already starting, the leaders who are putting themselves out there that you see are doing advisory, consulting, fractional roles, they already started this process a long time ago. They already started building their network. They already started understanding how to position themselves, how to pitch their brand, how to connect with other people, and what it is that they could fill. What was the gap that they could fill that other people needed? And so really consider this, how you can start building this in to your schedule. How do you start building this part into your life? And so the thing that I often don't hear or get asked is, how do I start creating a support system for myself? How do I actually start doing this? And the thing is that you have to start creating key relationships that are external to your company and external to your buyer's market, okay? And they have to be external from your friends or your personal relationships. I can't stress this enough. This way, you can have the support that you need. You have the people who can listen and understand you, and people who can bounce ideas off and give you some feedback and really help you to move the needle forward. Being a business owner, being an advisor, running a consultancy is no joke. It takes a lot of tenacity. It takes a lot of courage and grit. And there's no way that sometimes we can carry all of this alone, which is why on this show, I started talking a little bit more about faith. Because sometimes it's in those darker moments when we're questioning everything that we have to be able to lean into our faith, whatever it is that we believe in, our spiritual calling, whatever it is our connection is. And also leaning into people who get us, who can understand us. You do not want to put pressure on relationships with people who are not where you are. You cannot expect family or friends or even colleagues to understand this new journey, this path that you're on. You're putting unnecessary, undue pressure on relationships for them to put themselves into your shoes, where you currently are. The best place to do this is to find people who are like you, who have been there, who have done that, who can understand the words that you're saying, and you don't have to explain all of it. They just know. This is why we created the Powerhouse Legacy Collective. This is why we wanted to create a community of leaders, of executives, of founders who are really ready to start positioning themselves. And they don't want to put pressure on their colleagues. They don't want to put pressure on their family or their loved ones. That adds stress. And the whole idea here is that we reduce stress. You create a path, you create a roadmap, you create a strategy for yourself so that you're moving forward intentionally. We have to be deliberate with how we spend our time. We have to be deliberate with how we're moving that needle. And if you're a busy executive, you don't have time to waste, and you don't have time to sit here and figure it all out on your own, tinkering with everything. So I want you to consider for yourself, who do you have in your court who can be a sounding board, who's been there, who's done that, who can provide additional support, additional feedback for you? Because as you're growing your network, your buyer's market network, you need to also be growing partnerships. You need to be growing other support systems, people who will be your greatest cheerleaders, but they're not going to be buying from you. They're not interested in what the services that you have to bring, but they are tangentially related. And you can then create partnerships. Maybe you speak together. Maybe you create other products or services together that you couldn't do apart. How are you growing this network for yourself so that it's strategic, it's tangible, it's valid, and what you're putting forth starts to grow and expand on its own? That's the goal, right? So we're putting ourselves out there, but we're growing our network. Notice how social media, I didn't mention any of that. I didn't mention how you're showing up on social media. That is a second part. It's another piece of how you can start presenting yourself, how you start building credibility, how you start putting your brand out there and positioning yourself in a greater way. But you cannot put all your eggs onto social media because social media is saturated. Social media is a glorified resume. Your LinkedIn is a glorified resume. That's where people are going to learn more about you, but it's not social media that's going to grow your brand. It's these other activities. It's understanding your offer. It's understanding your network. It's how you're building it, how you're making key partnerships, key relationships, and understanding how to communicate what you bring. And that's understanding your brand, your leadership value, all of that deeper work that leaders have to do. So leadership development, brand development, synonymous. They're one and the same. Because if you don't know yourself as a leader, if you don't know the strengths that you bring, if you don't know what you stand for, it's going to be really hard to run a company. It's going to be really hard to run a company where you have multiple clients that you're managing. So really consider, what are the key pieces that you're putting into place for yourself right now? What are the key things that you don't know yet that maybe you need some more understanding around, maybe some more knowledge, a little bit more expertise, things that you can start to practice while you're still in a role that provides a little bit of security. I am not going to tell you that the market is providing security right now, but if you're in a role that has a little bit of security, this is the best time to start building upon your brand, building upon your network, understanding what it is that you could create for yourself, practicing how you pitch, so that when you do feel ready, maybe you're already lining up clients before you transition. That's the end game. What you want is to make a smooth transition where it doesn't feel like there's a gap. It just flows from one role right into the next. And that's what I teach my clients, and that's what we work on together. If you have any questions, please reach out. For a lot of us on here, we're really considering, how do we start to package up our expertise? How do we start to package up our skills and what it is that we bring? How do I go and begin a business? And when is the right time to make a transition for myself? And how do I start positioning this in the market? And if you really have some of those questions and you want a support system and you want to know how to do this to a greater extent and have a community that can back you up, I invite you to come join us at the Powerhouse Legacy Collective. Inside, there is support, there are playbooks, there are trainings and resources to help you understand, number one, your natural strengths, who you are, how you represent yourself, and how you start building something that is tangible and builds upon your legacy so that you can create an impact in this world. Thanks so much for joining me today.